Maybe it's on.
All right, hello everyone.
It's just audio now.
Yeah, and I'm talking. Oh, my wife, she's too much. Hello everyone, it is Matt Hardy, and we are learning all about this Twitch and streaming scenario. To give everyone a little backstory, we didn't have internet here for the longest time ever. Like, internet that was good enough to stream television platforms or even FaceTime. Our internet was terrible. It was horrible. We had to use HughesNet, which was a satellite internet system, and it just was so slow. We couldn't stream, we couldn't FaceTime, we couldn't do any kind of video Zoom stuff during the whole pandemic era. And then we discovered this Starlink, and it has been a hit. It has worked great for us. We can stream videos on different platforms, and now we are getting into this Twitch situation and kind of figuring it out as we go. And that is exactly what Revy's been doing. Today it seems like Barty got a long nap while he was with Grandpa, so he was very hard to put to sleep tonight.
Okay, are you ready to go? Is the chat ready to go? Alright, bro. There you are.
All right, we're live. We're in living color. Streaming from the iconic and fabled Hardy compound, the home of House Hardy. Right now we're currently in the theater. We have this brand new, lovely, prepossessing red sofa that Queen Rebecca just scored. And she seems to be very, very excited about it. And she's wanting to remodel the movie theater here. The House Hardy Cinema 9 is probably going to go to a Cinema 12, even bigger. Maybe we'll have enough kids by the time it's all said and done. They seem to be exponentially coming out. So, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking a few minutes of your time and tuning into the stream. I think this is so cool. I know we had some questions that were asked on Twitter, and I think Revy is going to act as the host slash moderator DJ of this whole scenario. So if you guys want to ask questions in the stream, in the chat of the stream, see, even I'm learning all this terminology as we go.
Okay, boomer.
I'm old, dude. Guys, I'm old, and I'm still killing it. I'm a badass. So yeah, if you guys want to ask questions in the chat that goes along with the stream, that is part of the whole Twitch system that I'm learning about. I don't really play video games. I love it when Maxwell, who is huge into video games, and he did our first stream that actually is saved to the House Hardy Twitch earlier. It was yesterday, right? Yeah, It was earlier. It was yesterday.
It was today.
It was today?
It's been a long day.
Oh, wow. It really has been. But I was going to say, we did one yesterday where we played the Expedition of Gold, the pinball machine that my wife, my lovely wife, gave me as a gift, and we streamed that, the little competition. That was really fun. These video games nowadays, I am definitely not in the loop. I don't know what's going on exactly, and I love how Maxwell, who is pretty video game savvy, actually tells Woofy all the time. He's like, Woofy will say, "Dada, Dada, can you play this level? Can you defeat this guy for me? Can you beat this level?" And Max will go, "No, Woofy, Dada can't play that video game. He only knows like the Super Mario Brothers 2 and the old games, Pitfall." He doesn't know Pitfall, but I say Pitfall to him all the time. I know the old school games, Tetris, Pac-Man. I keep it simple. They're very challenging and very intricate nowadays. So, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about this because both the boys are excited to play video games, and also they talk to the people whenever they are on a camera now and they're performing or they're just speaking or they're playing a video game, and whenever they look up at the camera they want to talk to the people. That is what they say. "Oh, Dad, can I talk to the people?" And Maxwell kept asking, "Was that really on TV what I was doing?" So they're having a really fun time with it, and I think it's going to be cool that I'm going to be able to do this and interact with fans in many more ways than I have ever been able to in the past than it was possible for me to, because as I said before, we just recently got internet that was decent enough to like stream and do things like this. So that's very, very cool. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And what do you have for me? Give me some questions.
I'm still compiling.
Because I'm sure once I answer a question or two, it will lead into stories or tangents.
We'll start easy here. We'll throw you a soft one. The first question is, what's your favorite movie to watch in Hardy Cinema 9?
Interesting. It's funny for the
From Dr. Device 81. Shout out. Thanks for the question.
Okay. For the longest time, when I was young, I remember my favorite movie that I would always say was my answer was Heathers. That was like a big favorite movie of mine. It was funny. It was like, even before I started wrestling, I think it was like one of the darker, funny comedies I saw. But I did really dig it. I thought it was funny. And I was a big Christian Slater fan then. And when it comes to movies currently that I think are my favorite, and my favorite one to watch here, I would probably say The Avengers, The Infinity War. That would be my favorite. I loved all those Avenger movies and the Marvel movies. All big blockbusters.
Villasaurus Rex says, does Matt own every Matt Hardy figure released?
I do not own every single Matt Hardy figure released. There's some that I know I haven't been able to get, but I have the majority of them. There are only a few that I don't have, so I should really try and do that. Maybe at some point I'll do a video and we'll look at the figures that we have, and we'll look at all the figures that exist, all the Matt Hardy figures that exist, and figure out the ones we don't have. And like, what's that WWE show they do where Treasure Hunters or whatever? They have some show where they track down items. You know, it's a big worked show. You know, where they go track down items and bring them back to the headquarters or whatever. So I think that's what we need to do. We need to figure out what Matt Hardy figures are out there and where we can procure them, and then go out and get them and bring them back to the headquarters of the Hardy compound.
Oh, this is great. Corey Fitz says, do you see yourself ever wrestling in New Japan or other federations other than AEW currently?
What's up, Corey?
I would also answer the question, including the question, because I'm not mic'd, and they might have trouble hearing me.
Okay. As far as if I would ever wrestle in New Japan, I actually spoke about this when I did a virtual signing just a couple weeks ago. It hadn't even been that long. It was a little over a week ago. But my thoughts on that is, like, I would love to go to New Japan and wrestle a match on New Japan in a big show, or maybe a little angle or a story. But being the age I am and being my tenure in the business, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not looking to go over there and, you know, wrestle in Japan for 3 weeks straight in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know I can't do that, you know. So I would definitely love to be able to pick and choose and do some really cool appearances and matches over there, you know, maybe in multi-mans or whatever, and go over there and have fun. And I think that would be a cool thing for me to check off my bucket list in New Japan, performing there. And it is very cool because the Forbidden Door, Tony Khan, has kind of opened all that up. What's up, TK?
Hey!
I like TK. TK's been here to the Hardy compound. He visited Hardy Cinema 9, and he actually played the Expedition of Gold and checked out the arcade. And I gave him don't tell him, I gave him a free membership. Oh, look at that, I'm hitting the mic.
Oh my God.
She's going to yell at me.
Oh my God.
I gave him a free membership to my gym, too. He can come work out anytime he wants.
Everybody in the chat is saying you need to talk to Cardona. Matt Cardona. Do you know who that is?
Yes. You know who Matt Cardona is?
I have no idea, sorry.
Matt Cardona is Zack Ryder.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
What's up?
guys, my wife don't give a shit about pro wrestling. I'll tell you that right now. That's the honest to God
I
truth.
don't know anybody.
So, yeah, no, he would be the guy to talk about when it comes to figures. He is just so on top of that. And him and Brian, man, they're killing it. They're doing some great stuff with their figure gig.
All right, let's see. Everyone is kind of asking the same. When is Broken Matt coming back? So I feel like without highlighting one particular person,
Okay.
maybe just let them know. Maybe even on a future Twitch stream. Who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think now that we have this Twitch capability, I think you'll be seeing some Broken Matt appearances in the future here. But now, for the time being, in AEW, it's definitely a big money mat, and I think the whole pandemic scenario kind of threw a huge monkey wrench in the plans, and especially not having fans live in the building and in the venue, and just doing the empty arena shows, and literally just having nothing to gauge on what you were doing. We talked about this, a lot of the wrestlers, the performers, like, what is over? During that pandemic time, especially when there was no crowd in the venues, we kept saying, like, how do you know what's over now? I mean, you kind of have a guess of what's over, but, you can kind of read stuff back online, and there's so many fans online that are just, they're not a good barometer of really what's over. When you go into an arena and you perform in an arena, that is the perfect barometer of what is over and who is over. I feel terrible for Orange Cassidy. If we'd been having fans whenever he was getting that run against Chris Jericho, he would have been so over at that time, because I dig his gimmick. And obviously, you guys know me. I did Broken Matt Hardy, so I definitely like that out-of-the-box thinking. And I have a great appreciation for guys who are willing to, push themselves and also push the limits of what typical wrestling is. I think wrestling needs that. I know so many people kind of bitch and moan and complain that professional wrestling isn't always a straightforward competitive sport, but like once kayfabe was out in the late 90s and people could go online on the internet and you could kind of read and learn about the ins and outs of the business, that became a game changer. I mean, you had to be creative and think in different directions to keep things new and fresh and find ways to entertain people. And that's my personal opinion. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. But my personal opinion is that wrestling has to grow from more than just being two guys always having a match against one another. I think you need to have a compelling story, and ultimately you do need to have two people that have a conflict. But I think there can be different things in pro wrestling, because at the end of the day, pro wrestling is entertainment. And I know there's some people out there that are going to absolutely hate that answer, and there's some people out there that are going to absolutely love that answer. But that is my opinion, and that is my thought process on it. As far as Broken Matt goes, I definitely think when crowds are back and the moment arises and the time is right, I think Broken Matt could 100% be back. And I think if he comes back to AEW, one of the lessons I feel like I've learned from in the past, when I first started as Broken Matt, I wanted to come in and be a little more vicious. And the very first thing I did whenever I did the deal with Jericho and we did a teleportation thing, it was Chris's idea. And he was really giving in trying to make this character big and over the top and special. And, we did it. And I know it was met with a lot of criticism, from both sides. So, long story short, I would definitely go without being the magical character or the supernatural route. I would make Broken Matt almost back to his roots, just vicious, crazy, primal, animalistic. And I think that type of Broken Matt would work in front of AEW fans and in front of a crowd. So, who knows? One thing about Big Money Matt, he may be broken, but he'll never be broken. Okay. That was kind of a rambling answer, so I hope I answered that question.
All right, let's see. I think I know who this is. Who's your favorite couple that you've married, and why is it me and Matt?
Hi, Gina. My favorite couple out of the dozens and dozens that I've married are Gina and Matt. Because they're soulmates. They were just two of the most prepossessing souls I've ever seen in my life. And when I helped them walk the aisle, tie the knot, engage in holy matrimony, it was just not only magical for them, but it was also magical for me. Thank you. And by the way, they're the only couple I've married. So they're the best!
Oh, man. All right, do you have any questions from Twitter? Are we sticking to the Twitch stream?
Yeah, you could, there was a hashtag I put.
All right, in the meantime, this is from Robert J90.
Mm-hmm.
Was that bump at All Out last year the scariest bump you've taken?
In all actuality, I don't think it was the scariest bump I've taken. It was terrible and bad. I think the scariest bump I took was at the show you were at, that Extreme Rising show.
Okay.
I think that was even worse. Even the one at All Out, even though I was knocked unconscious. And I also feel bad because I know Tony Khan went on like at midnight and said no concussion or whatever. Like what happened was I immediately went to the hospital. I was okay, as shocking as that sounds. I really was okay after the match and came back and called my wife and let her cuss me out, which she deserved to. And then I went to the hospital, but I had every scan, every single test done, and there was nothing abnormal. There wasn't a sign of a concussion, or there wasn't any terrible trauma or damage, which, once again, I was very lucky. I would like to say that I'm stronger than death, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I was very lucky on the evening. And I actually relayed that to Tony when he was doing the press conference at the end of the night, and I know he relayed that message, and a lot of people had a lot of blowback on him. And one thing I would like to say is, like, you know, that wasn't a Tony Khan idea. That wasn't anyone's idea. Even being in the match and, like, that spot was going to shut me down for the majority of the match. So it ended up being my idea. And just things weren't in the proper position. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that ended up being my fault because I didn't check with people and do whatever. So if you do want to give anyone heat for that, anyone out there who didn't like it, just blame it on me. It's my fault. And I'll be accountable and take credit for it. And it's a mistake that I won't make again. You know, fortunately, I was lucky. And life goes on. And you move on and you learn from mistakes and bad and good things that happen to you. In that instance, it was definitely a bad thing that happened to me. And I just learned as much as I could from it. And I'm going to move forward and be better because of it. As crazy as that sounds.
I think you should tell them about the Extreme Rising bump. Kind of glossed over that one.
Yeah, that at Extreme Rising, I was wrestling a match against Shane Douglas.
Tell them what Extreme Rising is.
Extreme Rising was kind of like there was a promoter who wanted to do like a remake of ECW. This was, 2012-ish, I think, right?
Yeah.
2012, 2013. He wanted to like make a remake or rebranding of ECW, and a lot of the ECW original guys were around to compete in it. And they'd contacted me about doing it, and they had a few shows booked, and they were going to do it like in the Philadelphia market, New York market. This happened to be in Pittsburgh. And whenever I went to the show in Pittsburgh and wrestled Shane Douglas, at the very end of the match, I was going up to the top to jump off on Shane Douglas, and I was starting a program with Luke Hawks. And what happened is Luke Hawks came off and pushed me, and I think the original idea was I was going to get pushed off the top turnbuckle and drape on the barricade. But once again, the barricade was way, way far away. And even when I got pushed, I don't know if I was even pushed. I was pushed harder than I should have been pushed, I think.
You was pushed.
So I lost control. I didn't hit that barricade. I crashed and hit the floor. And on that one, when I hit, not only was I knocked out, but I was also convulsing, right? You were there. I know.
You were foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, so it was much worse. And that one felt terrible for days. The all-out fall, I was okay, the next couple of days. It was, the worst thing was like my upper back being sore from the whiplash effect. Not defending either one of them. Either one of them were shitty bumps and shouldn't have happened. But once again, this is like pro wrestling. When I did the leg drop off the cage against Edge, so many people loved that moment and cherished that moment. I mean, like, what if my lower back would have exploded? Or just something could have very easily gone wrong in that, too. Whenever SummerSlam 2000 in Raleigh, whenever the ladder got picked up and was dumped over backwards and I fell through the two tables that were on the floor after falling over the ropes backwards, my head almost hit the barricade. I mean, what if I'd hit the barricade and broke my neck? I mean, guys, like, professional wrestling, we are real life stuntmen, and we take chances, especially in matches and environments like that where you're doing these crazy, insane hot spots. That's why most people didn't think Jeff and I would be walking by the age 35, 36. I'm 46 now. I'm still kind of walking, barely. Not like I used to. But, I still feel good overall. So, we have really withstood the test of time as far as that goes, both myself and my brother, and especially him because he's done a lot more crazy stuff than I have. But long story short, that bump that I took in Pittsburgh was very brutal, and it was definitely worse than the one at All Out in the big scheme of things. But just, especially when guys criticize wrestlers for doing stuff and call them dumbasses because they do this or do that. I mean, you're a dumbass if you wrestle. Because basically, if you wrestle, you are hurting and damaging your body. And you have to know that when you get into it. I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, we want to be safe. We don't want to hurt each other. But taking big bumps and falling off high places especially, it's going to happen. Even the whole Chris Jericho debacle that happened recently is brutal. Like, Chris Jericho is 50 years old and took that insane bump off the top of the cage. And, people were going to, talk trash about him. Sure, could it have been shot differently? Probably. But when it's all said and done, Chris Jericho was a badass for going off backwards through the cage and taking the bump. End of story. Okay, sorry, I ranted. I got a little passionate. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. I think that's what they like. All right, Thomas with his phone number perhaps says, when Jeff got hit by the firework, what was your emotion?
When Jeff Hardy, my brother, got hit by the firework, in which scenario?
I honestly, I don't know. I was hoping you would know.
Okay, I am guessing, I just got asked when Jeff got hit with a firework, and I'm guessing it was in Final Deletion. I want to say in Final Deletion, Jeff didn't get hit with a firework. During the Final Deletion, whenever I shot the fireworks across the ring, I know Jeff had a garbage can lid that he was covering up. We just wanted him to cover his face. That was the only thing we were worried about, getting hit or getting burnt. So he was covered up with that, and I think he was positively fine on it. The worst thing that happened in the Final Deletion is when she ran in and handed me that birthday cake candle, and I lit the gas that was on the ground that was going to burn up the thing, and Jeff fell off into the pile of dirt. The fumes were all around me. But I'll tell you this. We were shooting this, and it was like 6 a.m. The sun was about to come up. It was like 6 a.m. So we were hauling ass and rushing. We did the Final Deletion with 4 people, and really 2 people were major players that were doing the filming and audio in it when it's all said and done. So we had a very small crew, so that took a long time to shoot that. We didn't have some huge WWE massive production or some crazy, insane production for the Elite Deletion like Jim Cornette described. Remember when he said there was 300 people here or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Horseshit he said. We had a couple crews for both, for the Elite Deletion and also the Ultimate Deletion I did with Bray Wyatt. So, people could move at different times. But with the Final Deletion, there was only 4 guys, 1 little crew, 2 guys really working on cameras. So, the sun was about to come up. We had to finish this the scene. We had to finish the match, and we had Jeff going up. So we're dumping the gas out as fast as we can. And then I go and I light it, but the fumes were still all around me. The fumes came in my side of my body. You could see there's pictures underneath my arm where it wasn't a terrible burn, but it was slightly burned. Yeah, I mean, you saw it.
Yeah.
It was like a slight burn. It aggravated the shit out of me. And the next day we filmed the lawnmower scene where I destroyed Jeff's beautifully designed yard, with the lawnmower with broken mat. Which so many people love that scene. So that was done the next day, and I just remember while I was trying to be all orgasmic on the lawnmower. Yes, it was so painful because my whole side underneath my arm was burnt very minorly in the big scheme of things. It wasn't bad, thank God. So wrestling is crazy, man. Don't let anybody tell you different. I am crazy and insane, and my brother's even twice as insane up the road. But this was always our dream to do, and we know it entertains you guys, so we feel motivated to do insane stuff like this. I guess it's your guys' fault. You guys just motivate us to be insane. So I hope you're happy. You're enablers. You're insanity enablers. I hope you're happy with yourself.
Round of applause for yourself. All right, Rockor 2300 says, how much did Vince know about the whole broken mat gimmick when he asked you guys to re-sign before Mania 33?
This is interesting. Vince probably didn't have any idea.
0.
About Broken Matt Hardy. Whenever we signed before WrestleMania 33, we spoke with Vince, but Triple H was the guy who did the majority of our negotiations, and that's who we kind of worked out the deal with when it was all said and done. It was very on the DL too, on the down low. Only a handful of people knew about it, and I think that was part of the magic and what helped us coming back. And Triple H was great the whole while. It was great working with him. It was great negotiating with him during that time. And then the point that the whole Vince and Broken Matt conversation started. Well, I'll even say this. One of the reasons I think we were asked to come back is Vince kept saying, like, why do these people keep saying delete? What is this delete shit? Why do people keep going delete? You know, oh, that's the Hardys. That's this thing they're doing. You know, they're doing this thing and they're having these crazy matches in their backyard or whatever somebody told them, right? You know, so why do they keep doing this delete shit? And then eventually we spoke to him, and that's how we ended up back there. So we came back, and we were the Hardy Boys. And then once Jeff got hurt, and I was going to do as opposed to broken Matt Hardy, woken Matt Hardy run, I remember pulling up at the building one time, and I had no idea. I hadn't been busted on at all. And Bray Wyatt, who we were buddies before that, we'd always got along. I met him when he was young, and he said I was always so cool to him at that time. So he was like really cool, and we really bonded. We really gelled as friends. So it worked even better when we ended up working together and being partners. But I remember pulling up at television that day, and then Bray Wyatt was pulling up. He said, "Hey man, are you excited about tonight?" I was like, "Why? What's tonight?" And he says, "You hadn't heard?" And he's like, "No." He said, "We're starting a whole Bray Wyatt Broken Matt Hardy thing." I was like, "We are?" And then I remember like walking in, and Michael Hayes said, "Hey, look, Vince needs to talk to you." And he's got like 30 minutes, chiseled out for you, and he wants you to explain the whole Broken Matt Hardy lore and like how'd you come up with this, and tell me all about the character, what's going on, and you know, let's do this, let's give it a shot. And it's like, oh, geez. So that was definitely one of the most interesting 30 minutes I'd ever had. You know, especially telling him like how I developed the whole idea of the essence of Broken Matt Hardy going from one body or vessel to another body over time. I watched True Blood at the time, and my wife and I, we actually became big True Blood fans, and I loved the insanity of vampires. I loved vampires being seen in different time eras, like how they dress in a different way, and you know how their hair was different, just how style was different, how times change, and how people change throughout time. So I was like, man, that would be so cool if you could do something where you were like someone who's been around for thousands of years. And the best way I could figure out to do that was just that your soul or your essence actually can go from one body to another. So you could still say that you were cognizant of, you know, 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 1,000 years ago, however long your soul has been in existence. But explaining that to Vince McMahon was one of my favorite memories of all time. I remember there was a lot of, okay. And I know in his mind he's going, this son of a bitch is crazy. You know, I had to sound like a madman to him, an absolute madman. But it was cool and it was fun, and Vince really did stay open-minded. And he let me do Broken Matt Hardy on WWE TV. And on top of that, they had said they were going to give us some sort of compound deletion fight. And he stayed true to his word. We ultimately got to do it. We really had to fight and work hard to do it. And I feel like if myself and Bray had been together as a tag team as the leader of worlds, and we had ideas where like Bray has lost everything, you know, Randy burned his house down and Abigail's gone and this and the other thing. We wanted him to come here to the Hardy compound and like live with us, and we have vignettes like King Maxwell's bossing him around. He's like paying his dues to try and get into House Hardy, so to say. Senior Benjamin's making him do the, you know, yard work on the More Blunts and all this. And like Bray had a bunch of great ideas. You know, I know he wanted to come like a hobo with like a stick and a bandana tied on it with like only a couple possessions, you know, like he had a wristwatch, and he wanted to have a monkey with him, I know too. But that was going to be like vignettes that we wanted to do over a number of weeks, and then just have like a match here and there. And I feel like two characters like that are, you know, magical characters in wrestling, in the entertainment aspect, supernatural if you want to describe them as such. I feel like they don't need to be in the ring every single week because that really normalizes them. I thought they did an amazing job with The Undertaker when he first started in the very beginning, you know, because he just seemed so magical and he was so protected and he wasn't always in the ring. And the whole reason I wanted to do Broken Matt Hardy was because I was getting older and my body wasn't in the condition that it used to be, and I really did want to try a throwback to like the old Papa Shango Undertaker days, because I thought this stuff was so cool, and I still dig that stuff in wrestling. You know, I know there's a lot of people who hate like the Fiend and Alexa Bliss stuff, the Broken Matt stuff, whatever it may be. You know, I'm good with all that stuff. I think there is a place for that in pro wrestling, and you don't have to agree with me. You can have your opinion, I can have mine. But I totally 100% dig it, and I think myself and Bray, I think it was cool. I think the people who really enjoy magical characters in wrestling really dug our stuff, and I just felt like our tag team could have been a lot bigger if it would have been, a little more important in the big scheme of things to the man. But it is what it is. Life throws you whatever, and you make the most of it.
Somebody said, did he say that's such good shit?
No, I didn't get that. I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't get that. That's such good shit. I mean, really, like Vince is such a great talker. It was amazing. In these 30 minutes, it was probably 26 minutes of me talking and 4 minutes of him. It was a lot of him going, ooh, okay. I mean, he really was. Had an open mind to it. I mean, it was, from what I understand, kind of like the Broken Matt Hardy craze is what ended up bringing us back to WWE. So he knew there was like some sort of, there was interest there. But also it's very different because WWE is such a more massive global deal. When we were doing it on Impact, it was like viral online and on the internet, and it did really well in the Impact shows as far as that goes. But that's also a much, much smaller, minute audience as opposed to like WWE. So it's a big difference. But Vince gave it a shot, and for that, I commend him and I thank him. I have nothing but love and a lot of respect for Vince McMahon.
Omega Ken 86 says, can you tell us about the days when you were doing jobs during WWF in the early 90s? Early 90s?
Yeah, early 90s.
Wow.
It started in 94, yeah. We had first started wrestling towards the end of 1992. God, I'm coming up on 29 years. 29 years almost. That is insane. What happened originally is I went and wrestled a match in 1993 for the Italian Stallion, Gary Sabah, and George South. Their promotion, it was PWF, the Professional Wrestling Federation. It was very much your typical indie, and it was ran as most indies were running that day. You had a lot of guys who were just what I would call at the time like weekend warriors, who would work their regular jobs, and then on the weekends they would go out and they would wrestle on Friday and Saturday. And it's not like they didn't hit the gym every day. They didn't eat really clean. They didn't train really hard. They dug wrestling and they wanted to do it on the weekends. It was kind of their gig. So I had an opportunity, and I went with Jason Arndt, and I wrestled for George South and Italian Stallion. And I wrestled their guy who was like their enforcer, who would beat the young kids up. And I remember I was invincible at this time, right? I'm 22. No, I'm not. No. Whoa. Wait. I'm talking about when I like something with WWE. At this time, I am probably 17. Yeah, I'm 17. So I'm 17 years old, and I go out here, and this is the guy that was their enforcer, and he beats up the green guys, or as some of the Stains guys would call it. Oh, don't be a fruit. Oh, he's a fruit brother. He's a fruit brother. So I was like, look, I'm not a fruit brother. I might be green. I might not know what's going on, but I can do some pretty cool stuff, and I'll take good bumps for it. Because I felt invincible at that time. I was invincible at that time. So I wrestled this guy, and we had like a pretty decent match. I was bumping like crazy for him. I was a machine. There was one point where he told me, he said, grab a headlock. And I don't even think I could do it the other way now. Like, I'm so used to doing it this way now with my left arm. I grabbed it with my right arm. And I remember whenever I slapped that headlock on him, he said, what are you, a mark? And then he back suplexed me on my head, and I just laughed about it. And he started chopping the shit out of me, whatever. He couldn't hurt me at that time. I was literally invincible. And too bad Father Time, he goes over and every way, though. He's getting to me. So we have the match with this guy. I end up hitting him with a springboard moonsault, and that kind of blew him away. I missed a 450 splash, and I think that led to the finish or whatever. And I remember staying when he came back, he said, oh, brother, you're great. He said, you're so athletic. You got a good body. You got a good look. He said, I think you can make a whole bunch of money in this business. I can take you to WWF, which it was at the time. I can take you to WWF. I can get you some work, maybe a tryout. He said, all I need for you, all I need for you to do is pay me $3,000 and let me train you. Let me teach you the psychology and the fundamentals and the way the business really works, brother. He says, I can teach you how not to be a fruit, brother. And I said, oh, well, sorry, sir. I'm the 17-year-old broke kid, like I rake pine straw and, I'm gonna teach myself how to sew so I can make other guys tights, and that's pretty much all I do. I don't really have any money, It's just I'm going to school. And he said, "Oh well, if you get some money, let me know, brother. Let me know." And then like 8 or 9 months later, I ended up getting a call from the contact. His name was Eddie Rainwater, who introduced me to Stallion and got me booked on that show. And he said, "Hey, Stallion needs 4 guys to go to the Fed, to go to New York, and do jizzobs." He said, to go do jizzobs. And he said, "You're good because you've already had a tryout." He says, "Is there anybody else can go?" I said, "Well, we've got some other guys. They're a lot of them are kind of young though." And he's like, "Well, how young?" I said, "Well, my brother, he's 16." I said, "There's another guy that wrestles with us, and he's 13. That was Shannon Moore." And he's like, "All right, we'll send them all up for a tryout." So Jason Arndt, who would go on to be Joy Abs, Marty Garner, Champagne, my brother Jeff Hardy, you guys probably heard of him, and Shannon Moore. They all went and they had a tryout for these guys because I had something I was doing. I was probably booked, brother. I was so popular at the time. But they went up for their tryout. And of course, they passed the trial because he needed to make money. Shannon obviously couldn't go. He was 13 years old. My God, he's a child. And then myself, Jason, my brother Jeff, and Marty Garner all went to WWE. And the very first time we went there, I found out that I was going to be wrestling Nikolai Volkov live on Raw. And we had a lot of matches like on a trampoline to begin with, and then we had like this half trampoline, half real ring. It was actually more than real. It was like concrete that a guy was trying to promote at fair shows. And that's really where we started learning how to bump. And it's probably what made me invincible because I was bumping on that concrete all the time. And then eventually we bought the ring and we converted it to a full-fledged regulation ring and made it hard. But whenever I wrestled this match against Nikolai Volkov, I had like 10, 11, 12 legit matches in like a regulation ring. And then I was going to be live on WWE Raw on Monday night against Nikolai Volkov. So I was obviously nervous and I wanted to talk about it and figure out what was going on. I was like, "Yes, sir, whatever you want to do, I'm happy to do. I'll do whatever for you. I want to make you look great. Whatever, please let me know." And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it." He said, "We just talk out there." He said, "I mess up every match." He says, "I'm sure I'll mess up tonight too." And then as soon as he walked away, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm petrified." As soon as he walks away, Tony Gurria comes up to me and says, "I got to tell you what, kid. If you mess anything up tonight, you're never coming back again. You'll never be booked again." And then I went back to Nikolai. I said, "Oh, can we talk about the guy?" "No, I'll just listen to me out there. I'll talk to you out there." So obviously, I was terrified that first match I had live on Raw with the WWE in May of 1994. But even more terrifying was watching my younger brother who got thrown in last second because the other guy who was going to wrestle Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, said he couldn't take his finish, the Razor's Edge. So they said, "Oh, we got another guy over here. Let's get this young, healthy guy." And it was my brother, Jeff. And I remember he was like real pale. He's 16. He moved his birthday back 2 years, so he appeared to be 18. He was almost as old as me now. And then Scott Hall was very frustrated, very annoyed. This other guy pulled out of his match. So he just said a couple things to Jeff, and he went out and he beat the shit out of Jeff whenever he wrestled him. And one of the guys who was with us said he kept going to Jeff, and like Jeff already felt bad because he didn't think, Jeff was just worried. And he was young, and he didn't think the match was as good as possible because they said he dead sold him too much. Like he laid around as opposed to like moving so much. And I think we probably both dead sold way too much earlier in our careers. But this guy kept telling Jeff, said, "Oh, brother, they're going to have to cut that match. You're not even going to be on TV. They're going to cut that match." And this guy didn't even get booked to work. He was just like talking shit. He said, "Oh, brother, they're going to cut that match." And Jeff felt real bad, and he was like heartbroken. And Jeff said, "I never want to come back again. I just want to quit wrestling." After that first match, when that guy kept antagonizing him and just trolling him, it was brutal. "Oh, brother, they're going to cut that match. They're not going to put a fruit on TV. They're going to cut that match. You'll never be on TV." But yes, they put the match on TV. Jeff got his leg hurt by Scott Hall, and Scott Hall felt bad for him afterwards. And the click ended up being super cool to both of us after that. They called Jeff because his haircut looked like Vanilla Ice, and it was cut after Vanilla Ice, styled after Vanilla Ice then too. And after Jeff took all those bumps during the match and he hurt his knee, I remember they said, "Hey, look at him." I want to say it was X-Pac that said it, Sean Waltman. He said, "Hey, look at him. He looks kind of like Vanilla Ice." And then somebody said, bump, 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 bump. So that became his thing. He became Ice when we were there. He said, "Oh, it's the Hardys. What's up, Ice? What's up, Ice?" But those Click guys, they were always really nice to us whenever we come there. In fairness to them. So, long story short, that's kind of like the explanation of my first time being there. I feel like all the guys who were like WWE contracted superstars, they always knew that if they wrestled with myself or Jeff, that we were gonna like bust our ass and we would try and take big bumps for them, or we would try and make them look as good as possible. And you know, if we got something in, we got something in. If we didn't, we didn't. And that's kind of the mentality you had to have then. And I remember there were a lot of guys that kept telling us. They said, "You guys got to stop doing these jizzobs, because if you keep," there was one guy I knew that called it zobbing. He said, if you guys keep zobbing, you're never going to do anything in this business. You got to stop zobbing. Stop zobbing. Go out in some territories and make a name for yourself, but you got to stop zobbing. And I said, well, I think if we keep wrestling, even if we're losing and guys are beating us up, I think if we put in good enough performances, I think it'll pay off for us, because people seem to be actually noticing us. And there were sometimes we would have dark matches and whatever. And eventually we got away from Stallion, and we started being able to book ourselves. And once we were able to book ourselves, and it was myself, Jeff, Marty, and Jason, the four of us, we always had great times. And myself and Jeff, we always got taken care of really good whenever we were there. Jason Arndt did too, and he ultimately went on to sign as well. And you know, those guys who had that old school mentality of like, if you do jobs on WWE TV, you'll never get a job or get hired there. Well, I feel like we proved them wrong. I not only got hired there, I got hired and worked for like 14 years, and then went back for 3 more and made millions of dollars there. So I think we're okay doing some zobbing, you know, doing those jizzobs, doing some zobbing. So those were fun times. I mean, we were, you know, we just wanted to go, and we wanted to make guys look good and just show off when we sell. I remember that was Jeff's motto for the longest time. Like, yeah, man, I shine when I sell. I show off when I sell. And he really does. Jeff is one of the best sellers in wrestling history. So I was kind of like the mind behind the team, and he was definitely the sizzle, and he definitely did shine when he sold. So thanks for the question. Long-winded answer. I love long-winded answers.
Yeah, well, I think you should have some water. Your voice is
cracking, yes.
A little cracky. We've got probably about 15, 20 minutes left in the stream. If you guys want to get your questions in the chat, we'll also check Twitter real quick, see if we got any good content in his mysterious hashtag that he didn't disclose.
Yeah, it's Matt AMA.
Matt AMA is
the
hashtag on Twitter.
Brother, follow me on Twitter.
Follow me on Twitter.
Follow me on Twitter.
I'm following your babies to bed. That's what I'm following.
Hold up. It switched my internet here because, yeah, it's got me on Polk.
Oh, this is funny memories here. Fred Durst Forever actually says AEW should get Insane Clown Posse to wrestle for them. And that just reminds me of the
Gathering?
The Gathering. If you have any stories that are able to be told.
You should probably tell a Gathering story.
No, they don't want to hear me tell the Gathering story.
no, trust me, they do. Because my rendition will be much more positive. Yours will be much more fun for them to hear, I'm sure. I know, you know, like, it was cool. Like, Kevin Gill was, I think, the guy that booked me for that. And then the Insane Clown Posse, obviously we knew them from when they did some WWE stuff. So I ended up doing it two years, right?
Yeah.
I think so. God, I've
You went on your own, and then we went.
I know when we went, which was the first time, it was just insane. Like, we drove down this road. I mean, you feel like we live out in the middle of nowhere. Like, we drove down this road for like 7 or 8 miles, and then we got like off on a dirt road, and then we drove like 5 miles into the woods. It felt like it. Isn't that right?
It was darkness.
It was darkness, and we're like, oh my God. Like, we didn't know if we were going to the Gathering or we were just going to our slaughter. You know, that's what it felt like. And then, who was there with us too?
Like Amber O'Neil was there.
No, someone drive with us. Oh, it was when I was there by myself. The Headbangers were with me, I think.
Oh gosh.
Well, when you were there, was anybody with us?
I
And I remember just being our first experience. We're like, whoa, what is going on? But then, like, once you get there, like, everybody was just altered out of their mind. It was insane, you know, and that's kind of what goes on there at those things. You know, they have a wrestling show. They had this huge crowd. They had a bunch of major acts too. Do you remember, like bands? They had a bunch of big bands, a bunch of big artists that were performing. And I remember being there. One of the things that stands out to me the most was like, oh man, yeah, it's over at the drug bridge. Remember that? Yeah, the drug bridge. What? What the hell is a drug bridge? And they had a spot like where people met, and it's like where they would like exchange whatever contraband they were exchanging. So it was wild, man. I know when we went there. Allegedly, yes, allegedly. It's just all rumors. It's an urban legend, you know, the drug bridge. But they kept talking about the drug bridge. I remember hearing that over and over, and it was mind blowing. Whenever we wrestled there that night, ICP guys, they were super cool. We wrestled. There was a packed crowd, and they were like insane. They were super enthusiastic, and like if you're a wrestler and you're performing in front of a crowd, I mean, probably the number one thing you're gonna ask for is an enthusiastic crowd, and we definitely had that at the gathering. So those were very, very wild experiences. I'm glad I got to experience those. It was definitely something to check off my bucket list.
Anyone from Twitter? Hashtag ask Matt AMA. I keep messing this up, guys. Sorry.
Are you asking for the
hashtag? Yeah, I'm asking you, bro. I'm not on your Twitter right now.
It is hashtag Matt AMA.
All right, in the meantime, Big C says, Broken Matt versus Matt Hardy version 1. Who would win?
Well, I think it ultimately depends on where that match takes place. If you have Broken Matt taking on Matt Hardy version 1, if you have it in a regular ring and arena, you're going to get Matt Hardy version 1 winning because he's very sly, he's very cunning, and he's very good at squeezing out of tough scenarios. If you have it in a street fight environment, or if you have it in a deletion match or the Hardy compound, Broken Matt would job his ass out. So those are my answers for that. All depends on the setting.
Who inspired you, besides Macho Man Randy Savage, to wrestle as a kid? From Alicia, Warrior Princess.
Yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage obviously it's documented that I've said he was the first guy that I really became a big fan of, and he turned me on to being a fan of pro wrestling. Other guys at that time, like Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, because Ric Flair was announced from North Carolina, we were big fans of him as well. I was a big fan of him. I also loved the Fabulous Freebirds, and it wasn't the original combination from World Class. It was Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin from NWA, because that was the first exposure I had to the Freebirds, and I watched those guys there. Later, I went back and saw the other stuff that he did with Buddy and Terry, which was great. But like, I loved Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin together in the beginning. That is what I based my original persona off of, is High Voltage. It was the Freebirds. So I was big fans of them. How ironic, right, that I would end up working very closely with Michael Hayes later down the road. And then once myself and my brother started, dipping our toes into the pro wrestling industry, Shawn Michaels was someone we very much idolized. I'm sure the tag team ladder match was inspired, initially by his match with Razor Ramon, the first ever ladder match. We thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I was also a huge Bret Hart fan. Bret Hart has been like one of the most credible wrestlers to ever live. And I love Bret's stuff. Still do.
All right, what's one moment in your career, looking back, that always gives you goosebumps? From Mrs. Kraka, 702.
Man, there's two things that really stand out to me. The first thing that stands out to me is the return at WrestleMania 33. God, it was really overwhelming. And just, my wife was there too. And there was so much adrenaline flowing through my body because, this thing had been kept a really good secret. We didn't show up till, a match before our show at the venue. And then they snuck us onto a bus outside. And we had a few minutes there. And then right before we made our entrance, they rushed us into the building with pink hoodies on. That was the only thing we could buy at that time. We had pink hoodies on, and we were running up the stairs, sprinting. And a couple people here and there saw us and oh my God, that's the Hardys. And running up these stairs, and then getting up to Gorilla, which was up 3 flights of stairs, and we're getting ready to walk out in front of this massive crowd, and I haven't seen the venue, I haven't seen the crowd, so I have no idea what it looks like really, right? Because typically when you're a WWE wrestler, or if you're an AEW show, whatever it may be, you're there all throughout the day, preparing for whatever you're going to do. So you're out in the venue, you know what the venue looks like. Uh, Typically, when the crowd starts coming in, you're looking at the monitor or you peek out the curtain. Everybody does that, and you know what the crowd and what the venue looks like. You have an idea. We had no idea. So we've already ran up all these stairs. Adrenaline is pumping like crazy. Jeff's super nervous, I remember. And then it's our first time back seeing Vince in person, and, seeing, Michael Hayes and Shawn Michaels. There was a bunch of guys that we hadn't seen in forever, like saying hellos to them very quickly. And then just within a few seconds, bam, our music hits. And whenever we walk out through that curtain, and then you see just this sea of humanity, and people were going crazy, just almost in slow motion. I can see delete, and you say, yeah. And it's like getting goosebumps talking about it right now, because it was like a dream. It felt like a dream in my mind. Even pulling up my memory, it's not like a memory of like spending time with my children or my wife earlier today. I mean, it feels like a dream sequence. It's like I'm remembering a dream that I had. And we come out, and it was just so exhilarating and intoxicating, and it felt surreal in so many ways. And it really did give me goosebumps. The first time that I legit felt goosebumps, in addition to that moment, was after we had the tag team ladder match, and we knew we did something really, really special, and that was myself and Jeff versus Edge and Christian. The next night when we came out and we showed a sign of respect to one another, we shook one another's hands, and we got a standing ovation, 24 hours after our match. I got goosebumps there. There's one look where you see me like turn to the crowd, and it really is very genuine, because I was like, inside I was just like so humbled and just so flattered that a crowd would respect these four young guys that have kind of virtually came out of nowhere in the big scheme of things, and they steal the show the night before, and then they give us a standing ovation. And it was also a town that was also had hard fans. That was a tough fan. They weren't the most enthusiastic always, and to get that standing ovation there, it was very, very special, and that gave me goosebumps. That was the first time I can think of that I really got goosebumps, really, really strong.
All right, I like the way Snub Thinks says, Matt, have you considered writing another book?
I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because now I actually have content for a book. When we first wrote our book, I know it was because we were very, very popular at the time as the Hardy Boys, and they knew we could sell a bunch of books, and we did have legitimately a genuinely good story, about two kids that came up very poor, with a single parent home. Our mom died young of cancer, and then our dad raised us, and then we just kind of had this crazy passion for wrestling, and we chased our dreams. And when a lot of people said we'd never make it, or we shouldn't make it, or whatever, we ended up making it. So it was legitimately a good story, I thought. But now, I've actually lived life and experienced life. There's so many success stories, so many failures, so many things that I could put great detail and, just that would make for an amazing story, and would ultimately all compile together to be an incredible book, I think. So yes, I have thought about that, and especially recently, I have thought a lot about that. So that's now that question was brought up here, that's something I'm going to look a little more into, because I really would like to write another book. I actually have more than enough material to write a book. I could write a couple books, I feel like, at this point.
All right, Bish Mappa says, which gimmick would you like to end your career on? Gosh, that's assuming you know, right?
Yeah, I think I do know. The gimmick I would like to end my career on, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, I would like to finish my career teaming with my brother as the Hardy Boys. Just kind of like real life Matt and real life Jeff doing our thing. That is, I feel like, a beautiful way to tie up a career. And, it's probably going to be about 30 years for both of us, a little over 30 years when it's all said and done. But to go out the way you came in, I think that is super cool. So I would like to finish my career with my brother, Jeff Hardy, as a team. And I know just recently I mentioned this on the virtual signing on the stream I did with Rob Feinstein. And I saw a couple of the websites said, oh, Matt wants Jeff Hardy to come to AEW to have one more match or whatever. And that was incorrect. They obviously...
Correct the record.
They didn't listen to it. To correct the record, I would love to have Jeff Hardy come to AEW just so we could team together. And there's a lot of great teams there. I mean, I think a proper Hardy Boyz versus Young Bucks feud would be amazing. And I love the Young Bucks. I can't put the Young Bucks over enough. And also to all the people that it pisses off, I stand with Omega. I do. I love Kenny Omega. And like, if you can't see the value of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, you're out the loop. You really, really are.
Somebody's asking about a Hardy Boys biopic.
I would love to.
Who would play you?
Oh God, I don't know.
Who would you get? Who would play you? What's the soundtrack?
I don't know. Who's a really popular, not very handsome actor? I don't know.
What's the opening scene? I'd love to hear this.
Oh, the Hardy's biopic? I think Jeff and I were outside playing in the woods. We're probably building one of our hideouts where we would take these big sheets of plastic that our dad would cover up his tobacco with, before it would go to the market. And we would nail those in the trees, and then like we're getting in trouble and getting reprimanded from our dad. He's like kicking our ass because we've destroyed some of the trees, whatever, trying to build one of our stupid hideouts again. And then on the way back, we're going back. I think I would tell Jeff, like, when I get older, I'm going to have kids, and they're going to be like us. But they're not just going to be the Hardy Boys. They're going to be the baby Hardy Boys.
What?
And I'm going to be real nice to them. I'm going to give them a life that I never had.
It's like a random turn. What? Oh, my God.
Just show our humble beginnings.
Right, yeah.
You can see how I'm a big dreamer.
How it's followed you to this day. So humble.
Oh, yeah. I am. I'm a very humble guy. Matter of fact, Matt is very humble.
Oh, wow. There you go. Hit him with the Matt fact. What's the favorite Matt fact?
I mean, I think the most popular Matt fact is, Matt despises mustard. Matt strongly dislikes mustard. That is the most famous Matt fact. I just thought of a really good Matt fact we should do a video to.
Are we going to stooge it off, or you got to say it now?
Well, it's very funny.
Okay, well.
I mean, it's going to make you mad.
I was going to say, am I going to get pissed off because I'm already preemptively mad? I don't know why, but I'm already mad. What is it?
I was thinking about because of where we live. I mean, I'm like an animal, guys. I have no manners. So she's been trying to domesticate me for almost 10 years now. So I have no manners. But I was just thinking about if we did a mad fact with a video, and it's just like, oh my God, like I'm, driving a car. Oh, thank God we're home. And I pull in and I go, and I'm very, squirming around. And then I go out and you come back to me, hey, what are you doing?
What are you going to piss in the woods?
Yeah. And I would say, Matt fact. Matt is okay with urinating, how would I say it?
Just say urinating one more time.
I mean, it's a word. It's an appropriate word.
Oh my God.
Matt is okay urinating in the wild. Mad fact.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's so funny, and it's true. It's kind of on brand for me.
Okay, you were right. You go from big money Matt, like I make too much money to look at you, to let me go piss in the woods and make it a Matt fact. Oh my God. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. We probably got time for one or two more. We want to shout out the Jimmy Ray Show for moderating our chat. Thank you so much. House Hardy loves you. Everybody else, we're seeing all these comments. Just rapid fire here. I'm just going to pick whatever comes past. In the meantime, make sure you follow all the socials. Yeah, He's still laughing about pissing in the woods, guys. All the socials, Matt Hardy Brand across the board. Make sure you catch him on Cameo.
That might
him to tell you more stories about.
That might be how I start the biopic.
Visit in the woods.
Yeah.
You dickhead. Oh my god.
Oh, we're two kids from very different backgrounds, guys. She's from the concrete jungle. I'm from the woods,
Yeah,
from the forest.
Somebody says the truth is the truth.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what's one thing you want to do you haven't done yet? From Amy Nemedy.
What's one thing I want to do that I haven't done yet? I'm trying to think of something.
Lived a pretty full life, I'd say.
I've done a lot. You know what I would like to say? Maybe at AEW, I would like to do a blood and guts match, a War Games match. That's one thing I've never done. I think I would like to do that. And I feel like that's going to be a thing now, so I'm sure at some point I'll get the opportunity to do that. That would be fun to do for sure.
Wow. All right. Somebody says,
I was supposed to be in the first one, by the way.
Oh, what happened?
COVID-19.
Oh.
The coronavirus.
That's what
thing. Happened.
Oh, sorry, man. And somebody says, how do you and Rebby manage to have a strong marriage while on the road?
I don't. The one thing I would say more than anything else, I mean, she's very good. Obviously, she's very trusting. I love my AEW schedule right now because it's nowhere near as intense as, schedules used to be, or even like my WWE schedule was, a couple years ago. I'm just, whatever bad, nonsense, stupid behavior that I was going to do, I got that out of my system, and I'm so glad. And just being a dad and having kids and having human beings that are more important than you, I just think that gives me the motivation to always try and be better and to be good. And I think she knows that. She's pretty comfortable with that and pretty confident in that, I think. So with me, it's just very important to try and remember to compromise and also take care of her needs, because she's very important. And her and I, we're a union and we're a team, and we're working together because we both have the same goals. And our same goals is to have a nice house and a nice life, and also bring our children up as good as possible and have them be good people, and also give them a nice life. So we are very different, especially from our perspectives and mentalities on several different things, but we want the same things. We want our children to be good kids and grow up to be great adults. And now I'm super excited about having this girl. I always want to be a girl dad. So I feel like, to me, family is first and foremost more than anything else. And I'm in a very cool point in my life because I have a very nice balance of my dream and passion of pro wrestling, and then my love of family. So it's a very nice balance.
Cute. Omega Ken says, Matt Hardy will tub stream? ? Is this a fetish?
I'm not sure what tub stream is. I don't know if
hot tub stream.
Oh, hot tub stream. Okay. I don't know if we're getting in the hot tub, it's going to have to be with Maxwell and Woofy now, both. Because, Maxwell loves being in the hot tub. We keep the temperature down so that the kids can get in with me, because Maxwell loves it. And we told Woofy, Woofy, look, it's like a law. It's a real law. You can't get in a hot tub until you're 4 years old. And he's like, okay, Dada. So he would go out there and he would sit in a chair and, watch Maxwell and I sit in the hot tub. And it was the cutest thing ever. And as soon as he turned 4, he said, Dada, I'm 4. Can I go in the hot tub with you and Maxwell now, please? I said, all right, you're legal. You got to be good. You got to be good, man. So, now, that's Woofy's thing. And he wants to go in the hot tub nonstop. And we go out there and we, have these deep conversations, which is my favorite thing ever, especially if it's right before they go to bed at night. So, if we do a tub stream, I'm definitely going to have Maxwell and Woofy in there. And I think it'd be fun. We have very fun conversations. Maybe we'll have some conversations on here for you guys.
All right. Why don't you tell everybody thanks for coming? Let them know where to find you on TV with all these different shows on different days, and all your socials, and just hit them with it.
I will. All right. How long do we go, first and foremost?
Well, however long you want, I guess.
No, I'm just curious.
Right now,
an hour.
We're about an hour and
Okay,
5,
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That hour flew by. So that was fun. To all you guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen who tuned in, thank you very much. That's so cool. I'm very happy you're here. I'm excited about this House Hardy Twitch. I think it's going to be fun for the whole family, and I think it'll be stuff that you guys will enjoy as well. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening to little old me. I greatly appreciate it. You can find me pretty much on social media across the board at Matt Hardy Brand. That's on Twitter, that is on Facebook, that is on Instagram and YouTube. And Cameo is something that I do quite a bit of, and I really enjoy it. I'm also on Cameo at Matt Hardy. If you want a personal shout out, whatever it may be, I'll do whatever persona. And also, I'll give it all the love and attention and detail that it really needs to be good. I hope to make you happy and put a smile on your face. So, with that being said, continue to check out this House Hardy stream. Are we going to do something tomorrow?
Pinball.
Oh, we are going to do the Expedition of Gold Pinball. Is that right?
Yes, that's
okay.
right.
We did an Expedition of Pinball stream a couple days ago, but my wife, it was her first time doing it, and she didn't have it set so it would save or archive or whatever. So we're going to do it tomorrow, and I hate that one didn't archive because I beat her 3-1 in a best of 5.
It'll never happen again.
And it probably will never happen again. So I just want to sit here and document it because these events must be documented. Because now that stream wasn't archived, it just doesn't really exist. So if she continues to beat me over and over, I'm just going to be doing a lot of zobbing for my wife. It happens. You know what they say? Happy wife, happy life. Okay, thanks guys. See you later. Good night. I miss you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Follow and subscribe. Big shout out as always to the Jimmy Ray Show. Thank you for all of your help on this stream. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Adios.